apologies for the delay. Welcome to the Monday, June 9th, 2025 regular council meeting. We are gathered and governing on the traditional territory of what is now known as the Comox Nation. And we are grateful, as always, for their collaboration and grace as we do this good work on their land. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda? Thank you. All in favor? And that's carried. And there are minutes from Committee of the Whole, May 26th, regular council, May 26th, and Village Hall, June 6th.
Move the minutes.
Thank you, and all in favor? That's carried as well. And then our first item is correspondence, appeal of the corporate officer's delegation decision. So we have had a request for a delegation, and the corporate officer has determined that to deny it because it's not within our purview. So now it's up to council whether we want to accept that delegation or not. Does anyone want to start with comments or?
I'm just a little confused. We were being asked to make this decision before we hear the report.
But I
should we
think
speak to this first and then?
I think we can.
I can go over just the report just gives a bit of background on the basis of the decision to deny the delegation and the reasons for that. Council has a policy that the corporate officer is to deny requests that are outside the village's jurisdiction, and as corporate officer that was determined based on the memorandum of understanding with the school district, and that the village has not been involved in the operation of the daycare since the selection of the operator back in 2022. And the applicant has a right to appeal that decision to council, and council has the discretion to accept the request or deny the request of council as well.
Thank you.
So a couple of questions then. For staff then, what exactly was our involvement in that decision in the first place? How much say did we have in the choice, or did we provide a couple of names and say, here's some local? I'm not sure. It never came to council, I don't believe. So I'm just wondering what.
Yeah, my understanding from looking at the records was that the school district issued a request for proposal for an operator and received the proposals. There was a staff member for the village at the time that seemed to attend a meeting to review the proposals.
Okay.
And that, I think that's outlined in the MOU.
And that staff member is no longer with us at this point?
That's correct.
Okay.
And I think we did give some direction at the time that we would prefer a Cumberland operator. I think that was one of the things that we
I don't
looked
have
for,
that information.
but I don't know.
There's nothing on record of that type of direction, but you might have had some feedback at the meeting.
Right.
When you looked at the MOU.
Yeah.
I do feel like we're a little left out of that process. And I, anecdotally within the community, I feel like there's a lack of consultation within the community about it. It just, I'm curious to hear the delegation. There's a large accessibility component in here to understand as part of the appeal process. We have an accessibility committee. I'm curious. I don't feel like we've involved as a council necessarily. I realize that it is. I respect the corporate officer's opinion on this as well, that it is slightly over a purvey, but we were involved in the process of getting daycare here, so I think we should represent some concerns, or at least hear it.
Yeah, I feel similarly. I think that MOU can be interpreted in certain different ways. I know how
So what I do know, from conversations I've had with the school district is that this, and from correspondence we've received from the person who requested the delegation, that there is a process underway right now, with the school district on this issue. It is the school district that holds the contract for this daycare provider, not the village. The village was not involved in signing the contract, and the village has no way of influencing that contract. It is school district property, it is a school district contract, and so I think it is outside our realm of work. I also understand that this, not knowing the issue, but that there is some challenge with the delegate and the child care provider. And I think it would be a dangerous precedent for us to get involved in considering issues that are not under our operations. So say somebody went to the Waverly and they had a terrible experience and they were, wanted to complain to someone, would we allow them to delegate to us to complain about the actions of one of our businesses? I don't think that's in our, I think that's outside our scope. And I don't think we want to meddle in a process that's already going on with the person who runs the contract or is responsible for the contract for this operator. So that's where.
So from what I read in some of the letters, is the process ongoing? So I agree with you, if the process is happening, I don't think we should be meddling. But if they're getting nowhere and are being stonewalled by another sort of government agency, then advocacy is definitely we've done that before.
Right.
We've held a delegation where we had no jurisdiction at all, other than advocacy to other levels of government. And I was quite comfortable doing that. But if the process is ongoing, and then I agree, I'm not sure we should be getting in the middle of that process. If the process breaks down and there's it's not being resolved through proper channels, then I think we can advocate on behalf of a resident.
And we do collect taxes on behalf of schools. Is that?
Yes,
Yeah.
but school tax goes into general revenue for the province, it doesn't go to our school
Oh.
district.
I don't, yeah, for me personally, I don't feel like that was very clear whether or not there is a like if there was processes or not, or stonewalling or not. If there is a process underway right now, I'm definitely interested. Like at the end of that, if there's no resolve, then I would
Yeah.
advocate as council.
Yeah.
I feel comfortable with that, but certainly, yeah.
Yeah, I'm generally happy to hear delegations at any time from a resident who's concerned about anything happening in the village. I am concerned that there is a process going on, as far as I know from the conversation I had with our school trustee today. So I would want to at least wait until they have a chance to wrap up that, whatever that outcome is, before we hear. I feel like it's out of place, or out of order, that once the school district, is not able to, or doesn't, or whatever, maybe there's an opportunity for us to hear the delegation. I'm not sure what we could do about it, but we could listen. I guess my question then to staff would be, how would we hear a delegation about, would that be in an open public meeting?
It would depend on the submission from the delegate. If there's certain criteria that meets the requirement for closed meeting, we would have it in closed meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there opportunity to defer this request until the school district drafts.
That council has that choice, yes.
I would be comfortable with that.
You want to make that motion?
Okay. I move that council defer the request to appear as a delegation in upcoming meeting as the daycare facility in 3376 Egremont is not under the village jurisdiction as set out June 28th, 2022 memorandum of understanding between the village of Cumberland and anyone until such time as the matter has been investigated by School District 71.
Does that work, Rachel?
So
Thank you,
council-
do we have a seconder?
Should we repeat it? Or-
Should I repeat it?
Yeah.
So just council defer the request to appear as a delegation until such time as the matter has been investigated by School District 71 and concluded.
They, yeah.
That way we're not stuck until we're not
Yeah.
flat.
Okay, so, motion by Councilor Barecki, second by, did you second it? You seconded it? Okay, Councilor Sullivan, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, and then the report in relation to this, delegation is the next item. Do you want to speak to that, Rachel, or did you already?
It's just for information.
Okay, so there's a motion to receive.
I'll move to receive the report.
Second.
Thank you, and all in favor? Thank you. And, phase 2 wastewater upgrade project design and planning. Hello, Jason.
Hello. So brought forward a couple of items to you guys this evening around our wastewater treatment plant project. The first item is around the design work for our phase 2. So McElhaney Engineering was brought on to complete the design work for our phase 1. They also, in that time, the items that were kind of connected between the two phases, they did some design work of phase 2. Now there's a small piece of phase 2 that has not been formally designed yet. So I'm coming to council to ask for the approval to sole source the remainder of that design work of phase 2 to McElhaney, seeing as they have significant on-site presence, information over and above anybody else. Just felt like it would be prudent for us to move forward, allow them to complete that final chunk of phase 2 and get a formal contract in place to do so. So that was kind of the first part of it. The other portion of the report is around, we came to you last time, we had a $600,000 deficit currently on phase 1. The design team worked together with the project team quite diligently. We did get that down to significantly less than the $600,000, but we do have an amount still over and above the current budget. Now, we did get some of the design work that was done for phase 2 costed, and it was coming in significantly lower than we anticipated. So at this time, I'm coming forward to request the movement of $500,000 from phase 2 to phase 1. And that's not looking at removing any scope at this time out of phase 2. It's just items that we have costed have come down to the point where we're feeling comfortable to move that money over to ensure we can complete phase 1. And that will also allow us to have some contingency back into phase 1 as well.
Any questions?
Celebration.
Celebrations.
Not yet, not yet. We'll get there though.
Yeah, no, I'm personally, I'm perfectly happy to stay with McElhaney. The project seems to be on time and now they're staying within the budget, sort of. And yeah, happy to see this, happy to see it's not a request for more money. Yeah.
Okay, I'll move the council authorize this.
I'm sorry, I did want to speak to it. I'm just curious, the phase 2, I don't know whether the scope initially, spoke to, naturalizing Maple Creek and the trail system.
Yep.
Was the trail actually included, and are those two together?
Those are both within phase 2.
Oh, they are.
I don't know if they would be placed together, but the funding does speak to both those items.
Okay.
So it includes a portion of trail work to support the area,
Yep.
as well as the movement of Maple Lake Creek back to more of the natural flow that was previously.
Okay, just attached to that phase 2.
It is part of phase two, for sure, yeah.
Okay, okay, great, now,
Move the council authorize the sole sourcing of the remaining design and engineering work for phase two, of the wastewater upgrade project, Mahoney Engineering pursuant to section 5.9 of the Village of Cumberland Purchasing Management Service Policy. And that council approve to increase the budget for the wastewater upgrade project phase one from 17,617,400 to 18,417,400, and to decrease the budget for the wastewater upgrade project phase two from 4,360,000 to 3,860,000 for the village, reallocating 500 grand from phase two to phase one of the wastewater upgrade project, and council directs staff to bring forward an amendment to the adopted 2025-2029 financial plan bylaw to reflect this expenditure.
thank you.
Second.
Second, all in favor, let's keep that momentum going. Okay, number two, Dan.
All right, the other piece
Project
is,
funding.
so yeah, I've come to you guys today looking for approval. The last meeting I brought forward the estimates for the number two dam project that were substantially over what we had previously had. And at this point, we have been working with Justin Langton from the ministry on possible funding opportunities that we might be able to stack in with our current funding we have in place. He and I worked together and found one that we thought might fit, which was the Strategic Priorities Fund under the Canada Community Building Fund Agreement. And I'd be looking to go forward with that, of requesting $2.7 million to help fit that gap. That program does allow for up to 100% of eligible costs to be funded, and the maximum of $7 million for infrastructure projects. So we'll be going forward to that in hopes that we could fill that gap we have on our estimates right now.
Questions?
This is great.
Goes with the money then. So we need a mover and a seconder.
I'll move the council approve the submission of grant funding application for $2.7 million for the number two dam project to the Strategic Priorities Fund under the new 2024-2034 Canada Community Building Fund Agreement.
Thank you, seconder.
Second.
Thank you, all in favor? And that is carried unanimously as well. Thanks, Jason.
Perfect, thanks guys.
And the next up is our late resolution to UBCM. Do you want to speak to this a bit, Rachel, or something?
I could briefly introduce it. So this was a resolution that Council, or Mayor Browns, right, brought to you a few months ago. It went to ABICC, but wasn't considered, and the option was given to Council to submit it as a late resolution. So it's been edited slightly to fit the province-wide application, and Council's free to make any changes to it, and if you'd like to proceed to submit it to UBCM, we'll need that council direction, please.
Any questions?
Speak to it.
Yeah, so this is a resolution going to UBCM to request that funding be taken from revenues of bulk water sales and used to fund the Watershed Security Fund. So the Watershed Security Fund had an original endowment, I think, of $100 million. And so the annual spend that comes out of that is $3 to $4 million, I think. And it's not enough, and we know that because we applied and we didn't get any, and lots of other communities did the same. So this is a request to fully fund that work, watershed work, protection work. So we did have to shift it. Originally, it had sort of a focus on private managed forest land, but because it's going province-wide, that's still a little bit in there, but not fully in there.
Okay, yeah, I'm in favor of trying to get this in front of UBCM. Again, we'll see how they do with their time management on getting all the resolutions through. Yeah.
For UBCM, it could go into a bulk, like a bulk boat,
Yes.
block boat, which would help that. But sorry, I'll just add to that background, is the resolution, similar resolution that went to the North Coastal Local Government Association also didn't consider that because of this.
That was the bulk we got.
Yeah. So they didn't have time to consider it either. really gotten any feedback from that group about where it's at with them, so there's still a potential, should we hear from them, to kind of add their name maybe, or do it together. I don't know whether we do that in time. I think it's a bit late to wait for them, so I wanted to move them forward. Okay, sorry.
Movement on that?
Yes.
I'll move that council endorse the resolution dedicating water rental fees to watershed security as a late submission to the Union of British Columbia Municipalities Convention.
There, thank you, and all in favor? Yes, also carried unanimously. Okay, and next up is, our annual report of all the amazing things we've done. You got it?
Yeah.
You
So,
want to see
report of amazing things.
it? Amazing things.
So this is council's annual report that's required by the community charter. Council is required to hold present it at an annual meeting and consider questions and comments from the public, and that meeting is proposed to happen on June 23rd, and council's next regular meeting. The report itself gives an overview of update on council's strategic priorities and operations. For 2024, it includes the audited financial statements, tax exemption values for the year, and also some information on grants issued by the village to third parties. And council is welcome to give feedback as well. If there's anything that you see is missing, we can add it, but the main point is to give staff direction to give public notice, and we do that in the Comox Valley Record of the annual meeting on the 23rd.
Thank you.
Quality photos in there.
It's just about, I think they're Rachel's.
It's not, they're not all mine this year.
I actually wasn't kidding.
No, they're really, I love the photos. I have a few, things, corrections. So in the page 9 of the document, 56 of 102, in the, appointments section, there's two, Island Coastal Economic Trust is one board, and North Island Sunshine Coast Regional Advisory Committee is a second appointment. So I'm appointed to North Island Sunshine Coast and then elected to Island Coastal Economic Trust. So I don't know if we need to put, I don't know whether elected positions go on there. I'm elected from the RAC to the board. And then the Welcoming Communities Coalition is not there, but I don't know if that's a formal appointment. And then under Jesse, Councillor Kettler's outline, wouldn't we say that she was the chair of the board? Or are we just saying like who's the rep?
Yeah, we probably didn't do that because she was voted chair, but we could add that. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not on those boards.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. So Sean's listed, but is that because in part of 2024 that you were until the changeover, right?
Mhm.
Is that right? Do I have that timing right?
I think for the majority of the year was Councillor Sullivan on the board, and then I think in November we switched.
Is that right, or was that?
I can check the time.
I feel like it was the year before.
Year before, that's why.
I think it
Yeah,
might have been the
I
year
feel like
before.
I've been on that board for over a year
Okay.
now. Yeah.
So then Jesse would also come off there, because that was the same timing.
Okay.
There's just one, so there's some, so in diverse and healthy community, there's the mention of the Macola project. And it just says that the multifamily affordable housing project is located on lands leased to the village. Could we put free or not? Like, could we qualify the
Oh,
that it's not, there's no cost to us for that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's important.
Right, for someone to find.
Maybe nobody reads it, but, you know,
Surprised if someone pulled that one out.
Well,
it's a kind of a contentious.
That anticipated funding call has now gone through, hasn't it?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. if
That
it's-
opened, didn't it?
It did open, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I think that's it, sorry.
The funding.
So there's a recommendation there. If nobody else has anything to add, I'm the only one that wanted to edit. Sorry.
Move that council give notice of the annual meeting on June 23rd, 2025, at which council will consider the 2024 annual report and submissions and questions from the public.
Second.
And all in favor? And no one's opposed to that. That's unanimous. Thank you. And council member monthly reports. Are there any questions on reports? Seeing,
Do you have a comment just about the Community Justice Center? They've been overlapping with their council time, so I'm working with them so that we can not have, it's mostly our committee of the whole overlap, but they have them
until
on,
lunchtime.
they have them on Monday afternoons now. So I'll work with Karen to change that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, if that's all, then there's a recommendation there.
Well, move receipt of the reports.
And all in favor of the reports? And that's carried unanimously too. Notices, motions, and announcements. Please do check the website to make sure that these meetings are actually happening at the time that they are supposed to be, before you come down here. So there is a June 19th Heritage Committee at 4 p.m. here in the Cultural Center. And that's all of those. And question period. Did you have a question? You're welcome to, yeah, you're welcome to stand or come up or however you want.
I'm sure you can hear me from
Okay.
here. I just want to make sure I understood your decision. Is my delegation approved, but I can't schedule it until after the school board process?
That's what we would like, yeah.
Okay.
To let that process unfold, and then if you're still unsatisfied, then come back to us.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions?
Just find the email here. No more questions.
No more questions. Okay, then there's a motion to move into closed.
I'll move the council to close the meeting to the public pursuant to section 90 of the community charter to consider labor relations or other employee relations.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? And that's carried. And a motion to adjourn. Oh, we don't. Oh, sorry, just go to closed.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for coming, Adriana.